So it's April here in New Jersey, and I should be out striper fishing or getting the boat together or whatever else, but as I'm sure everyone knows, we're in the middle of a global pandemic with this coronavirus mess. So I'm home. I don't have a lot going on. It's Saturday, but it could be any day of the week with the way that we have this whole Groundhog Day situation going on with quarantine and things like that. But anyway, I have all this footage from this past 2019 fishing season, and I figured, why don't I take you through it, show you some of the trips we had, and it's just something that you can watch while you're home quarantining or whatever else. And hopefully we can all be back on the water soon, and everyone out there stays safe and stays healthy. But let's kick things off. This is a trip from May of this past year. The tuna showed up pretty early here off New Jersey. We had a great bite in late May, and this trip kicked it all off on the 30 fathom curve here off of New Jersey. This trip is late May, and my dad and I got word of a good bite. We were actually only about 17 miles off the beach on this trip, and we didn't even leave the dock until about 9:30 in the morning. Got out there pretty quick, got our 2 unders, decided we had enough meat, and came home. But I mean, just great fishing early in the season, close to home. So this is a good lesson of why you should wear gloves when trying to wire a fish. I got a nice cut on my finger here from grabbing that snap swivel without a glove on it, and the fish seeing the boat taking off. So it's always a fun trip when you just have 2 of you on the boat and you're trying to wire a fish on a longer leader, or in this situation, a spreader bar. This is a Sterling 18-inch wide tracker. And I basically had to back the drag off, put the rod in the rod holder, so then we could wire the fish up and gaff it. A little bit of a fire drill here, but got the fish in the boat. So again, you can see here Sterling 18-inch wide tracker, specifically the black and purple with the zucchini stinger, just continuing to be a red hot bait. And again, we were running these ones off the rod tips in the flat line position. So trying to capitalize on this hot bite at the end of May, we ran back out first day of June and got right back on the same numbers and just started, catching fish again. So lots of false albacore mixed in, but got some bluefin on the troll here. On this trip, most of our bites came on a 36-inch Sterling Chaos bar. This one in glow-in-the-dark color. running down the middle in the shotgun position. We had put our 2 unders in the boat for the morning troll bite, and after things slowed down, we were working our way towards home. I saw a group of porpoise feeding on the surface and pulled the throttles back. Colin made a quick cast into them with a Shimano Orca floating stick bait. An over bluefin came right out from underneath him and he hooked up immediately. Getting this over in the boat was a great way to cap off the trip. Still June, back a little bit further offshore, back on the 30 fathom line. These fish were just kind of moving around to wherever the sand eels seem to set up. And this was a stressful morning. Pea soup fog for the last 40 miles running out. Just basically fishing off my radar and my electronics all morning, trying to avoid other people trolling in the fleet. But the fog didn't burn off super early. It ended up burning off, not until almost noon. But I got a couple more bluefin. My girlfriend got a nice one. Good day, again with family and friends. Once again, to no one's surprise, the hot bite, 18-inch sterling wide trackers, black and purple with the zucchini stinger. That seems to be the most productive color for us usually on these bluefin. On this trip, we had most of the bites on the long rigger position. This was more of a frustrating trip right around 4th of July. It's a really good jig bite for a lot of guys, but we kept getting sharked up on the jig first thing in the morning. Just lost a lot of time dealing with sharks and everything else, and eventually we picked some small fish on the troll, but nothing to get too excited at. This one particular kid I had on the boat, Michael, this was his first ever tuna, so we get a little jaded trying to catch big fish, but it's always nice to see the excitement of somebody catch their first tuna. So this was a really fun trip. End of July, we had these fish on the lumps, between the 20 and the 30 line. And we were able to fill the live well up with peanut bunker that morning. And we ended up, marking some fish on a lump. We started throwing the peanuts out there, and we had them right up behind a boat blowing up on the peanut bunker. So we had some fish, on the chunk right next to the boat. And then later on in the day, we got them on the jig too. So again, here's Michael, who on the last trip caught his first tuna, and this is his first fish that he jigged up himself. So had his drag set a little light, so he got to go for a couple laps around the boat. But a really fun trip. Great when you can get these fish, blowing up on chunks right next to the boat. So let me set the scene on this one. Early August, Sunday afternoon. Been fishing all morning. Dropped a couple fish on the jig early. Broke one off at one point on a Ronzi. In a fleet of, 70 boats. Everyone's right on top of each other. Colin comes tight on the jig. We got boats within 20 yards of us. Nobody wants to move. Fish is very erratic, coming up high, getting deep, going all over the place. This was on a Shimano Type J spinning jigging rod with a Saragossa 10,000. So, you know, a relatively light setup. You know, this was just a mean fish, you know, round and round and round, and thankfully we were able to put it in the boat. Put a nice fish in the boat on a jig, and one of those days where that one fish in the boat just changes the whole mood, and makes it a very nice ride home.
There you go. All right. Woo! That is awesome. Woo! Nice.